presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Ohio.
The Indians head west on a tidal wave of momentum after an 8-3 homestand capped by a series win over the Blue Jays. It was less than a month ago when the Tribe swept the Oakland A's. The same weekend they traded for Andrew Miller and made Jose Ramirez the full-time third baseman. What else can you say about Ramirez in the clutch? He leads the second highest scoring offense in the American League into the Coliseum next on Sports Time Ohio. The city by the bay, San Francisco, California. And from there, you take the Bay Bridge to Oakland, where the Coliseum is the home of the Athletics. And tonight, the Indians open up this road trip with 3 against the A's. Hi again, everyone. Matt Underwood alongside Rick Manning. The Indians still leading the American League Central Division. And Jose Ramirez is a big reason why. He may not be mentioned among MVP candidates in the American League, but Rick, he might be the Indians' most valuable player this year.
I would agree with that. He has been clutch, and this weekend showed why. He hit a home run to tie the game, and then on Sunday he comes back, hits a 2-run homer in the bottom of the 8th. They end up holding on to win that ball game, and he has been very clutch for the Indians. He's reached base in 27 consecutive games. He's hitting .383 in the month of August. From the 7th inning on, he has done everything needed to be Mr. Clutch for the Tribe.
Carlos Carrasco will get the start tonight for Cleveland. He's had a rough month of August, but maybe a return to Oakland is just what the doctor ordered.
He feels very comfortable in this ballpark, and for whatever reason, Carlos's ERA on the road is fantastic. So I don't know why he feels more comfortable on the road, but he certainly does. Pitched a gem here last year. Let's hope he can follow that up. It'll be a great start to a 7-game road trip that the Indians are on right now. It'll be 3 here, and he's matched up against Andrew Triggs, who's going to pitch his first game against the Cleveland Indians. He's going to run into a very good hitting offense tonight.
The Oakland A's are not having a great season, but that doesn't mean there hasn't been drama around the A's ball club. We'll get into more on that when we come back. It's the first pitch between Cleveland and Oakland right here on Sports Time Ohio. Cleveland Indians baseball is brought to you by W.B. Mason, the official office supplier of the Cleveland Indians. By McDonald's, I'm loving it. And by your local Toyota dealers, visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. to open the 6th. Deep left field, headed for the home run porch. Indians take the lead. The Heat-nizer continues to roll through August. Wow, what a homestand. The Indians going 8-3 at Progressive Field. On that 11-game stand, now they head out on the road all the way out to the West Coast to open things up with a 3-game series against the A's. And it will be cool and cloudy at game time as Cleveland, with a record of 71-51, 7 games in front of Detroit in the AL Central, takes on an Oakland club that is 53-71, 19.5 games back in the AL West. They've dropped 8 of their last 10. Let's take a look at the Indians starting lineup tonight for Terry Francona. It's presented by Progressive. Carlos Santana in the leadoff spot and playing first base. Jason Kipnis, Francisco Lindor, Mike Napoli will DH. Then it's Jose Ramirez, followed by Lonnie Chisenhall. Tyler Naquin, Abe Almonte, and Roberto Perez rounded out. Right-hander Andrew Triggs has worked mostly out of the bullpen this year, making the start, and his first pitch is in there for a strike.
Well, he works out of the stretch a lot like Carrasco, but this guy, you know, this will be his 4th start on the year, and he's pitched out of the bullpen. This is his 8th trip to the big leagues this year. You talk about a guy bouncing up and down.
You're not kidding.
They figure that's the most ever. I don't know if they can figure it out for sure.
He made a spot start back on June the 18th and went 3 innings. And he has started each of the last 2 turns through, so 3rd straight start now, trying to get a little more comfortable. He went 4 innings against Baltimore, 5 2/3 against Texas. Went 75 pitches his last time out. The 2-1. So you would figure he's still probably not quite ready to go a full 100 pitches.
Right. Yeah, I mean, not even close.
I'm sure for
75.
Bob Melvin, he's just hoping he can get 5 innings out of him at best, probably. A lot of that depends on what the Indians do against him. The 2-2 to Santana. Way outside, full count.
Yeah, when you face a guy like this and he's going to be on pretty much a pitch count, he has to be aggressive. If he has like a 25-30 pitch inning, that's going to shorten his night a lot.
And the 3-2 hit high in the air. Right field. Back is Eibner, shy of the warning track. 1 away.
Well, let's check out the Hyundai starting pitcher for the Oakland A's. It's Andrew Triggs. As we told you, he's making his 4th start. You can see games he's been in 21. He has 40 strikeouts in his 43 1/3 innings. He's never faced the Indians before. First time in his career, so it'll be their first look at him. The first go through.
Jason Kipnis taking a called strike. It looks like, for the most part, Triggs has brought that reliever mentality into his starts now, because, Rick, in the first 3 innings of his starts, he hasn't allowed an earned run yet. But as he gets a little bit deeper on from the 4th inning on, it's a different story. He's given up 24 runs in 31 innings.
Well, and then that's where they start rolling over that lineup a couple of times, and he gets the strikeout right there on a little 2-seam fastball inside to Kip down and in. He normally likes that pitch down there. Check the defense behind him tonight for the A's. They are ranked 11th in the league. You got Davis in left, Smolinski in center, Eibner in right, Healy at 3rd, Pinder at short, Muncy is at 2nd, Alonso at 1st, both doing the catching.
Francisco Lindor. Swing and a miss, and it's quickly 0-2. So Triggs coming out firing. He went to 3-2 on Santana. Carlos had a pitch to try and do some damage with and just missed it, flied out the deep right. Struck out Kipnis, and now Lindor with a ground ball robbed by Muncy. And the inning is over. Tribe goes 1-2-3. The A's are coming to bat. The Coliseum. And the Oakland starting lineup for Bob Melvin, presented by Spitzer Automotive. Coco Crisp leading it off, followed by Jake Smolinski. Stephen Vogt hits third. Chris Davis, Yonder Alonso, Ryan Healy. Then it's Brett Eidner, Max Muncy, and Chad Pinder.
Our Honda starting pitcher, Carlos Carrasco. Carrasco coming on today, making his 20th start of the year. He's 5-3 on the road and a 1.97 ERA. Pitched a beautiful game here last year. He's 1-0 in his career against the A's, making his third start and fourth appearance against them.
A little outside, 2-0.
Intruding a drum lesson.
Back out of play. Well, there aren't a whole lot of folks here tonight.
Right.
And so if anybody gets to hollering, you'll probably hear every word they say. But the fans, the loyal diehards that sit out on the bleachers in left and in right field, they're the ones banging on the drums. Strike called, 2-2. Coco Crisp recently voiced his unhappiness over playing time issues. He's due quite a bit of money next year on an option, but it only kicks in if he reaches a certain number of plate appearances. And based on the way they're using him, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, well, it's unfortunate he ended up going public with it.
To left field. And Almonte has it, one away.
Let's check that Tribe defense for you, brought to you by Jeep. It looks like this. Almonte, who just made that play, is in left field. Naquin is in center. Chisenhall over and right. Ramirez at third. Lindor at short. Kipnis at second. Santana at first, with Perez doing the catching.
Brian Gorman is the crew chief. He's got the plate tonight. Mark Carlson at first. Alan Porter at second. Clint Fagan is your third base umpire. Jake Smolinski steps in now for Oakland, the center fielder, batting .276 on the year. And a fastball strike. I mentioned at the top of our telecast that we would talk about the drama that has surrounded the Oakland A's here of late. They just came off a road trip, but while they were in Chicago, an altercation occurred in the clubhouse before a ball game between Danny Valencia and Billy Butler. The 0-1 pitch in for a strike. Valencia and Butler got into an argument, some pushing, some shoving, and then Valencia struck Billy Butler with a fist, knocked him silly, to the point where he said he was all right when the players broke up the altercation, but then later complained of nausea and dizziness. So he has now been placed on the 7-day concussion DL. Swing and a miss. So Butler's on the DL, and Valencia, who did not play yesterday, is also sitting out tonight's game. But at least to this point, according to Bob Melvin, neither player is going to be fined or suspended. Actually, I'm sorry. I think they were both fined, but I don't think there are any suspensions forthcoming. You know, they had an altercation. They had a disagreement. It got out of hand. But they feel like they've handled it internally, and they've got to try to move on. And I bring this up because I think sometimes, Arch, maybe it's just the day and age we live in now. These things are blown up to be like, people are shocked when they hear this.
Yeah.
This was commonplace many years ago in baseball. Well,
especially in this organization, the Oakland A's. Back in the 70s when they were world champs, they used to fight every day.
1, 2, 3 go the A's. No score after 1. The second best team in the NBA, the Golden State Warriors, Oracle Arena.
You couldn't wait to use that on the bus driver today. I heard you, and I was thinking, boy, oh boy, you are bad.
Here's Mike Napoli leading off for Cleveland in the second inning. And Triggs staying aggressive. And you said, Rick, he's probably got to have that aggressive mindset, knowing that he's on a fairly strict pitch limit.
You know, if you're here, you've been here 8 times, you have nothing to lose. I mean, the worst thing they could do is hit you out of the game. You don't want to walk anybody. So you get up, you be aggressive, and you try. If you have an opportunity to earn a spot in the rotation, why wouldn't you? I mean, the comfort level's already gone. He's been here 8 times.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he knows everything that's going on. You want to stick here. You want to prove that you belong.
Mike Napoli down on the count 0-2, and he strikes out. Really taking something off that breaking ball, just 77 miles an hour. Well, we were talking before we went to break about the incident involving Billy Butler and Danny Valencia in the Oakland clubhouse. And let's go down to Andre Knott.
Well, A's GM David Force talked before the game as well, and there's been a chemistry issue inside the clubhouse for the A's, not only this year but last year, and they tried to change it this past offseason. But he made a great point, and Arch, I think you'll agree with this. He goes, winning, he said it's a little bit like the chicken and the egg thing. He goes, winning usually equals good chemistry. Losing, it equals bad chemistry.
Yeah.
But he said it's something we got to talk about, and we're constantly addressing. We don't like it. It's not great right now. But I think he's right. When you lose, it's tough to have a good clubhouse.
I was going to say that before the inning ended. Anytime you lose and something happens, it's always a problem. When you win and you have a problem, you take care of it internally. Nothing is really said about it.
Well,
it happens to winning teams where you can have the same issue. It's just not looked upon the same.
Well, when you're winning, people just look at it and say, oh, they're just feisty. They're aggressive.
Oh, they love each other.
Blowing off some steam. Yeah.
Right. They look at it in a different light.
In the air. This
we'll see this
could
ballpark.
Be playable. Great effort, but unable to get there was Ryan Healy.
In this 3-game series, a few outs like that. This is the most foul territory in any ballpark in baseball, and you'll see it. And you know the thing of it is, look at the room. You don't have this in any other ballpark like this, and there's a lot of at-bats to be had in that foul territory.
Our bus driver on the way over thought that the Oakland Raiders had already played a game here, but then Ken Korach, longtime radio voice, said he didn't think the Raiders had played a game yet on this field. It looks a little beat up in the outfield. It almost looks like there's been a game played here, but
they're getting ready for it.
Yeah, it won't be long, you know that. They are playing here Saturday is their first home preseason game, but out in center field where Jake Smolinski is currently, it looks chewed up out there.
Yeah, it does. Right where he's standing. It almost looked like there's going to be seats out there, and they've already tried to get him out on the field.
Maybe they had a concert or something. Who knows? But this is this facility, the last of its kind, where you talk about multi-teams using it.
Well, we used to come here, and if they played a football game, I figured we'd still see the lines, like an old Cleveland stadium.
Jose Ramirez to second base, 2 down.
Batting in the 6th position, right fielder, number 8.
Well, Lonnie Chisenhall batting .297 with 8 homers, 48 runs batted in. He had a really good homestand and a number of big hits. He had a 3-run homer that was a key element in that 5-run inning when they came from behind against Toronto to tie it up a couple of days ago. He went 10 for 30 overall on the homestand with a dozen runs batted in. You know, since the All-Star break, Chisenhall's batted .293, so that's a pretty extended period where he has been able to put the ball in play, hit it hard at times, hit for power. Bounced way out in front of the plate.
Well, Triggs, to me, to this point, looks just like a sinker slider guy. Nothing fancy. As he keep the ball down, he'll sink it to both sides of the plate. Throw that little slider in and away. Nothing fancy. And nothing overpowering. He's going to have to rely on his movement.
Do you buy into the notion that the Indians could, I'm saying could, potentially have a letdown emotionally coming into this series after the long homestand and the effort that was exerted in the 3 games against Toronto?
I don't think so. I don't buy into it. No, because it's up to the players to motivate themselves. You're not going to play first place teams every series, and they've got another one coming up, 4 games with Texas. You motivate yourself, and you know what? It'll kick in once you get a start. they're playing in a different time zone or anything, but it's different. It's fine. It's cooler. You're not going to worry about the humidity. I don't buy into it because your pitcher's going to set the tempo.
Lonnie lifts one to center. Smolinski's there. 6 up, 6 down for Toronto, or for Oakland starter Andrew Triggs. No score, middle of the second. Some action so far. Pitching dominated. Nobody has reached base on either side. Bottom of the second, Chris Davis for the A's. And Carrasco missing just off the plate with a fastball. Chris Davis has belted 32 home runs this year for the A's. But along with that, only 18 doubles and just 79 runs batted in.
Well, they knew this guy had power. They took a chance on him, and boy, he has paid off for him. He's got good power to all parts of the ballpark. Likes the ball down. Defensively, he's a little challenged in left field, but when you hit over 30 home runs, they'll find a spot for you, won't they? He's been the man in the middle part of this lineup.
Kept it down right where Perez had the target, and it's 2-1.
That's a great location right there. You could throw that all day long, and not many guys could hit that at all. Look at Trumbo. He's up to 37.
I think he hit another one. I think he's at 38.
Okay.
Hit one earlier tonight.
Encarnacion, we saw him over the weekend.
Swung on and missed. And it's 2-2. Way outside, and the count is now full at 3-2. Got him. He was admiring, and that's the second strikeout for Carlos Carrasco. One down in inning number 2. Keys to the game are brought to you by Wayside Furniture. Be nice to get that early lead.
Yes.
That's been a good formula for the Indians all season long. If they can score first,
right,
they usually win. Carrasco keep the focus on the hitters.
Yeah, you get back to scoring first. 6 of the 8 wins on the homestand were come from behind victories with 2 walk-offs, so they were playing catch up and all the time. And for Carlos, well, he's back out on the road. He pitches, for whatever reason, a lot better on the road than he does at home.
Indians, by the way, 49-16 when they score first, which is a really impressive number.
Yeah, I like that.
Yonder Alonso is swinging a miss. It's 1-1. I think what our esteemed colleague, our producer Jim Murphy, was trying to allude to with Carrasco is when he gets a base runner, and he will at some point. He's had this odd fixation with throwing to first, and you wonder if that's taken him out of his rhythm and maybe caused him some problems here of late. Into center field, Naquin, a late jump, but he's there and makes the catch 2 away. Let's go down to Andre Knott, who has more on CC.
Well, when you talk about Carlos Carrasco and being successful on the road, one thing about Oakland that he truly enjoys, he likes his deep backdrop behind him. He feels like he's on top of batters. He feels like he's throwing harder. He just likes his ballpark, not so much because of the foul territory. He likes how deep behind the catcher it is, and he feels like that makes his fastball look that more explosive in his mind.
You know, that's amazing. You say that, Andre, because every ballpark's different. The settings, the surroundings, and for guys that you don't pitch in it and you go into it for the first couple times, it's different.
Well, he's like that with Tampa. In Tampa, too. He loves pitching in that ballpark.
But that's closer.
And that's closer. And it doesn't add up. But here, he likes it because he's got a lot of space.
But it's a comfort. You know, it's comfort. It gives him maybe more confidence, I guess, when he's out on the mound. It makes him feel his fastball's a little bit better. But that happens with a lot of pitchers. You know, they just don't feel comfortable in some surroundings.
Tell you what, if Carlos Carrasco had to face an A's lineup that had Ricky Henderson, Jose Canseco, and Mark McGwire, he may not feel quite as comfortable.
That's true.
There's Ricky.
He's still in uniform with him, huh? At times when he's in town.
Smashed up the gut, and that's going to be a base hit with 2 outs. Oakland has their first base runner.
That coming off a slider from Carrasco. Let's see where it is located. It isn't. It's down the middle, and he takes advantage of it. The ball's elevated a little bit and drives it up the middle. 2-out base hit. First hit of the game.
Well, let's keep an eye now on Carrasco and the base runner at first, Ryan Healy, who doesn't even have a stolen base attempt.
Well, they only have 44 as a team, which is 11th, you know, in the league. They just don't run much.
And a strike to the outside corner with a good fastball. Brett Eibner hitting just .218. Came over from Kansas City.
You only have 4 guys in this lineup that even have a stolen base, man, and Coco Crisp has 7 of them.
Wow. Same pitch, just missed.
Yeah, the only guy I see where you have to worry about anything might be Coco if he's on first, where you may want to make a toss over. Other than that, I don't think you have to. Just change your tempo.
No, because as long as you change your tempo and maintain a quick delivery, because Perez has shown he can handle it. He can throw runners out. You're not going to run wild on him.
No, you just give him an opportunity and he can throw you out.
Or should I say Ultraman?
Look at that
gear. Huh?
Yeah, it is.
Remember the old show, Ultraman?
Look at, he does look like a superhero back there, dressed in all gray.
Wow. I guess that was a bit high, and it's 2-2. The dot is in the zone on the pitch tracker.
That zone doesn't have anything to do with Brian Gorman's zone, though.
No, but if you notice on pitch 1 and pitch 2, 1 was a strike, 2 just a ball out. He called it a ball. Hit off the plate. Carrasco can take his time. Makes a good throw. Inning over. We've played 2 in Oakland. No score. To stay tuned later in the game for Miller Time, brought to you by Miller Lite. For Cleveland here in the third inning, bottom third of the order, Tyler Naquin, Abe Almonte, and Roberto Perez. By the way, mentioned earlier, Mark Trumbo did hit his 38th home run of the year. And so for Baltimore, they pick up a half game in the standings on Toronto, and they're 2 back in the AL East. Boston,
they won.
They did win. They beat Tampa, so they move into a first place tie with Toronto in the East.
Light schedule today in baseball. There's a nice swing the other way.
Tyler Naquin has the Tribe's first knock with an opposite field base hit.
Get a pitch. He's a very good low ball hitter, and he stays on this pitch. That's the sinker down. He should fare well against this guy. He doesn't like to pitch up in the zone, and there it is. He just waited on it, just took it the other way. So the Indians' first hit, but it's a leadoff single.
Look at him spray the ball around this year.
Very consistent. That's what you like to see, and that's why he's up over 300. When you can use the whole field like that, it doesn't surprise me at all.
You know, Arch, now that you just mentioned that, I started thinking Francisco Lindor, Jose Ramirez, Tyler Naquin, all hitting above 300. Nobody shifts on those guys because you can't.
Because they use the whole field. It's really simple. They shift on the people that have proven they hit it to one portion of the field. You can't shift on guys that you have to play straight away, and there's much more room for them.
Tyler Naquin drawing some attention here. Tyler's stolen 4 out of 5 on the year, but he's not a guy like Jose Ramirez or Rajai Davis, who once he gets on, he's going to be going within a pitch or two.
No, that's one thing that he's got to learn how to do is steal bases. He's got a good enough speed to be a base stealer. It's all a part of learning how to do it. You know, we talk about the shifts and things like that. To me, I think too many hitters get greedy and they want to try and pull the ball and they want to hit for more power and they want to do this instead of hitting into situations. There's a time and place to try and pull the ball when you work the counts in your favors and certain things like that.
Well, since we're into football season, we were just talking about the Raiders here. It's just like in football. If they put 8 guys up at the line of scrimmage and you keep trying to run, you're not going to have a lot of success.
Right.
2-1. Swung on and missed. Almonte chasing one. And Triggs evens the count at 2-2. This had some good movement.
Well, watch it. Yeah, it's late. It goes. So when he throws a ball down like that, that might have been a changeup. Might have been off speed. I think that was a changeup. That's why the movement was so great going down.
Got in on him, popped him up. The left fielder, Davis, has the play, and there's one away.
Well, Indians baseball is live with the MLB.com @bat app. You can stay connected all season with radio broadcasts, video highlights, stats, news, and more. Just download the MLB.com @bat app. It's the #1 app for live baseball on your smartphone and tablet.
Roberto Perez, 7 out of 70 on the year. Well, that time he ran the fastball up to 90 miles an hour. So if he can go from 90 down to 77, I think we saw that one breaking ball. That's really good separation. It's going to come down to being able to locate for.
That's what I wanted to see. Was that high pitch right there a strike? That's the key.
It was borderline. He might have been a bit above out of the zone. But first pitch, that's a good spot for Triggs. And the sinker misses down and in to even the count.
Well, it wasn't a bad pitch because his job right now, you know, you look to get a double play. So he starts it up high and he tries to sink it in on his hands to get the ground ball so they can turn it.
Naquin takes off and Perez swung wildly and missed, and Tyler's going to be tagged out.
Well, unfortunately, it's not Perez's fault. The hit and run was on, and it was a terrible pitch to swing at, but you have to do it. You're going to try and Tito's trying to stay out of the double play, so you start your runner, and he just couldn't reach this pitch. There's no chance. I'm surprised if he didn't try to throw the bat at it, but you can't do it. Naquin thrown out easily, and that wasn't an easy pitch to throw on for Vogt. You know, you watch, you go in head first. And there you go. You take
right into his collarbone.
I really would like to see guys go in with their feet more so, but a lot of people like to go head first.
It looks like he's all right, but that was a pretty tough collision.
Yeah, unfortunately, that they picked the wrong pitch to run on. And when you're running on the hit and run, you don't have to get a jump like you would when you're trying to steal a base. You just make sure the pitcher goes home.
Down on strikes is Perez. Middle of the third, still no score in Oakland.
But 2016 postseason tickets by purchasing 2017 season tickets. By becoming a 2017 season ticket holder, you'll get priority and access to tickets for any postseason games played at Progressive Field, plus opening day and team shop discounts, access to Tribe rewards, and plenty more.
Max Muncy to lead off here for Oakland, and Carlos Carrasco with the first pitch strike. And it count quickly 0-2.
Boy, this is a different temperature we're playing in than what we have been, isn't it? We got off the plane last night in San Francisco, and it was like a breath of fresh air.
I never heard the game time temperature tonight.
It can't be much more than 60.
58 degrees.
Thank you. Coldest winter I ever spent was a summer in San Francisco.
Mark Twain.
You got it.
Always knew you were a literary aficionado.
Well, you know.
1-2 is in the dirt.
That's what Murph calls me.
The Mark Twain of baseball.
I've been called worse.
Just last night, in fact. The 2-2. And off the end of the bat, dying and left, but a nice running catch made by Almonte. 1 down. Let's take a look at our Kia in the driver's seat tonight. Strikeouts per 9 innings since the start of last year. Carrasco just under 10, along with his teammates Danny Salazar and Corey Kluber.
Yeah, isn't that something? You got them back to back to back. I like these though. First pitch outs.
Yeah, that's efficient right there. 2 down.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I enjoy watching strikeouts, but I also like these guys when they go deeper into the game, when they can get outs on 3 pitches or less. And you know, how many times have we been told? We talked to the great Bob Feller many times. You get down to the bottom part of the lineup. You know, go ahead, let your defense work. You're going to make them put the ball in play.
Coco Crisp fly to left in the first. And a slow chopper, but right there is Jose Ramirez to throw him out, and Oakland goes 1-2-3 for the second time in 3 innings. No score as we go to the 4th.
Just $15 for kids 12 and under with the purchase of an adult ticket. Tickets are located in the family deck out of Progressive Field, and it's home to the expanded kids clubhouse. Go to Indians.com to get those tickets.
In there for a strike to Carlos Santana, who flied to right his only time up. Leading off the ball game, he worked the count, he got it to 3-2, and I still say he just missed knocking that ball out of the park.
Yeah, and now remember, this will carry, the ball will carry differently tonight and tomorrow night at 58 degrees than it does when we're here on Wednesday. It's a day game, about a 12:30 game, so you'll see the ball carry a little bit better. in day games here. Heavy, wet, damp
58
air.
and it's damp. You're right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Bingo.
It's like that marine layer that you get around the water here.
So you people on Twitter, lay off Andre. He's got a warm jacket on down there because it's a little nippy tonight. You know, we went from broiling 80, 90-degree weather in Cleveland, and you step out here, my man's a little chilly. A bit outside to Santana, 3-1.
I was looking to see if Andre had his fedora on down there, because it's a perfect night for it.
You know what, he was going to bring it, but it gets crushed in the suitcase, then you can't wear it. No good. The 3-1. Santana bounces it to second. And Max Muncy throws him out. Let's go to a really cool customer now. Back to the studios for an in-game update with Al Pulaski.
Now batting, number 22, Jason Kipnis.
What color tie you have on, Al? Beautiful.
Did he take yours again?
Yeah, he kept it. He never gave it back. You look good in it, Al. Thank you.
All right, kind of a light night throughout baseball. Certainly in the American League, this is one of only 4 games.
Well, this is one of our games that we have to catch up, because we
Yeah.
played, what, 3 less than Texas, and we'll get that down to 2, and also Detroit. Yeah, the next off day for the Indians will be back after we play a 3-game series in Cleveland.
Yeah, it's that first week
Once
of
we get
September.
back.
I think it's
Yeah,
September
1st.
Yeah.
That is correct.
And then what? Only one other off day the rest of the season?
Yeah. So, yeah, 2 to go. September 1st and whenever the other one is.
The pitch to Kipnis is swung on and missed. So he's down on strikes for the 2nd time tonight. And Andrew Triggs has a 1-hitter here into the 4th inning with 2 down.
Now batting, number 12,
Stat of the game brought to you by Buick.
Lindor.
The American League batting race is kind of a one-man race right now. Jose Altuve 45 points ahead of his closest pursuer.
He's been unbelievable. He's a hit machine.
The American League MVP race is sort of an interesting one, and I think it's very difficult to handicap because there are a number of different ways you can go. But I think you can make a really strong case for Jose Altuve.
You certainly could.
I mean, really strong. I just don't know, as Lindor grounds out and the Indians go in order, how teams will look at his club if they don't make the playoffs. 3 out of 4 innings. The Indians have been retired 1, 2, 3. Smolinski, Stephen Vogt, and Chris Davis due up for the Athletics. Slowly chopped foul. Before she calls it a night, we should send out happy birthday wishes tonight to Carrie Burke, celebrating back home in Cleveland.
All right, Carrie, happy birthday.
Now, her husband sent me what number birthday it is, but I was always taught you don't do that with.
No, not with women.
Yeah.
You get on the bad side, you'd be in trouble for saying it.
So, Tony, I'm doing you a favor.
Face, happy birthday.
Swing and a miss. Don't you think it's interesting, Arch, that in baseball, just a conversation about who's the MVP can be vigorously debated by fans, yet in no other sport does anybody care who the MVP really is. I mean, in football, does anybody really care who the NFL MVP is? No. But in baseball, it has some weight, it has some value to it. Maybe because it's played every day and people are maybe a little more invested in who gets that honor. But nobody really, the NBA, does anybody really care? It's who's hoisting the trophy at the end.
Yeah.
Most in other sports, but in baseball.
But you see, the players, I think that way, the same way along the lines you're thinking. They think it doesn't matter. We want to carry the trophy as opposed to the MVP. Right. And every team has to have an MVP that's, you know, very valuable for them all season long.
This is a great pitch by Carlos Carrasco for his third strikeout of the night.
Yeah, anytime he has that slider starting at the knees, it's awesome because it goes straight down. His tendency this year is sometimes it just sits up there and spins, like a lot of sliders do that people throw. But when it starts out on a low track, you can't hit it.
Stephen Vogt fly to left his only time up and looks at a fastball for a strike. Carrasco is showing right now that when he's on, and he definitely looks to be on tonight, he's not fun to face for anybody because he's painting his fastball wherever he wants to, and then he takes just a little bit off and that ball darts right out of the strike zone.
He's throwing his fastball for me, you know, and he's establishing that first.
That was 3 pitches. See you later.
And you know, sometimes with Carlos, he fell in love with that changeup for a few starts. Man, when he throws his fastball, he's throwing it at 90s, 95, 96, and it has movement. And then when they're looking for that, you can throw little spinners up there. You know, he has a great changeup, and he's got it working tonight. He's given up just 1 hit.
And now Chris Davis, who was called out on strikes in the 2nd inning, but always dangerous. Our player profile brought to you by Levin Furniture. He was a 7th round pick of the Brewers. And that looks like it's going to turn out to be a pretty good trade for Oakland.
Bubba Derby. Who's that? Bubba Derby.
Can't say that I know, pal.
I know it. I just
Maybe
looked at
when
that name. Right-hand pitcher. Hi, I'm Bubba Derby.
Maybe when we go to Maryvale next year, we'll look him up.
When you go to Maryvale.
2-strike pitch. And close, but no cigar. 1-2.
Oh, you like to see the single digits when you have pitch count by innings out of the first 4. Very efficient. 17 has been the tops. He's got 1 pitch away from getting out of this inning. Nice.
Fastball painted the outside corner.
Wow.
Davis out looking as Carrasco strikes out the side here in the fourth. Swinging, swinging, looking. On furniture and mattresses, shop Levin's. Well, both starters have been dynamite here tonight. Andrew Triggs has gone 4 innings, 1 hit shutout baseball. Carrasco has done the same thing.
Look at that, very similar, just a few more pitches.
Mike Napoli down on strikes his first time up. Chops that foul, 2-1.
Had a pretty good pitch to hit there. He just got on top of it.
Mike Napoli, you remember he had that hitting streak. Was it 14 games?
16.
To get to 16. And he sees a lot of pitches. He'll take his walks. But that was a big reason why he's improved his on-base plus slugging percentage, known as OPS, since the All-Star break. It's over 1,100.
Wow.
Which is an improvement of 338 points from the first half of the season. He rockets this one to deep left. Back is Chris Davis on to the warning track to make the catch for out number 1. Injury report brought to you by the attorneys at Elk & Elk. Steven Strasburg on the DL. The Nationals are saying, and Strasburg himself saying, that it's more precautionary. It's not that there's anything really wrong structurally, maybe some soreness, but more of a, hey, let's make sure we're ready to go for the stretch run. And Dusty Baker, his manager, told him, look, it's not time to be the hero.
Well, they got a comfortable lead in the division, so they have time to shut him down, and then September comes and you have reinforcements, but they want to get him healthy.
You know, we've been talking a lot about the barrage of home runs that have been hit this year. Now we know the ballpark in Cincinnati, yields quite a bit of quite a few home runs. But the Dodgers today beat Cincinnati 18-9. They hit 7 home runs. That's the most any visiting team's ever hit in
one
ballpark.
game. Yeah, that's a heck of a game. 7 dingers.
It was also the first time in Dodgers history that they had 3 separate instances of back-to-back home runs. 2 guys did it for their first home runs in their careers. Andrew Toles and Rob Segedin. I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. There's a fly ball to left. And again, Davis will make the catch. T-Mobile greater coverage of baseball tonight. There's Agon. He had 3 home runs for the second time in his career today in that ball game. There have been 17 3-homer games.
Yeah, I was going to say, now we're saying that it seems like weekly. Well, this guy hit 3 home runs in a game, and it's, what's the record? 21?
22.
22 back in 2001, right?
Yeah. Corey Seager also in that game hit his 22nd. That's the most ever by a Dodger shortstop. So I mean, these numbers are just like every day. It's like, well, that's never happened, or this hasn't happened in a long time.
50 home runs in a week. It happened just in back-to-back weeks, didn't it?
In a day. There were 50 home runs in a day.
In a day. There you go. Well, 7
twice in a week.
7 by one time. That's not too by one team.
Off to a pretty good week. Start of the week, aren't we?
No kidding.
Lonnie Chisenhall with a 2-out single. Just the second hit for Cleveland. And only the 3rd hit in this game. And we're almost halfway through.
Well, the one thing the Indians did on their homestand, that they were tremendous with 2 strikes. They got a lot of hits with 2 strikes. They scored with 2 outs. There were some really tough at bats.
Tyler Naquin slapped a single through the left side of the infield his first time up. Inside, he missed 1-on-1.
Yeah, when a guy hits your little sinker down and away to left field and in that hole, you have to try and pitch him inside and get him back up off the plate, because that's sort of Triggs' bread and butter, that sinker down and away.
That was a fastball right there. You could see Naquin thinking about it, but just couldn't quite pull the trigger. And it might have been a tick above the hitting zone for Tyler. Low. 2-2. Triggs fires to first, but Lonnie backstanding. He doesn't have a big lead, but perhaps Oakland, just by the Indians' reputation, sensing that the Tribe might be anxious to force the issue here.
Well, I would have if I was out there, but Chisenhall doesn't have a big enough lead. In this situation, you get into the bottom part of the lineup with Naquin down 0-2 and 1-2. I would have taken a chance.
He's down on strikes. 5 Ks for Andrew Triggs. No score, middle of inning number 5.
Fifth inning here in Oakland. It's been a very quick game. Two pitchers locked into a good one here between Carlos Carrasco and Andrew Triggs. Carrasco going out. Struck out the side last inning. He has 5 strikeouts. Triggs does as well.
Yeah, Carlos has set down 7 in a row. And a first pitch strike to Yonder Alonso.
He's getting a real good feel for his slider.
Well, Arch, it seems like tonight when he's missed by maybe the width of a baseball.
Yeah.
I mean, there have been a few wild tosses, but for the most part, he's had really good command.
With the movement, you know, that fastball, he's had good velocity on it, and it's taken off, and he's hit the outside corner a lot. Like right there.
Off of Carrasco, he recovers.
Kick save and a beauty. The bat came out, and I think he realized it was past him. He just sort of blocked it. But Carlos, earlier in the game, he was trying to get a feel for it, and he left a couple. But watch how this one's starting to go straight down now. When he starts it out low, that ball just drops into the zone, or if it starts out at the knees, it drops below the zone. And the hitters, they see that spin, but it's just tough to pick it up. Here's a good one right there, away. And when it goes straight down, you just can't catch up to it. There's just been 3 hits in this game. The Indians with 2 and Oakland with 1.
This guy has the only hit for the A's.
Yep. And extends his hitting streak to 9 games.
.96-mile-an-hour fastball was up, and Healy just fouling it right back. He's got another knock. And that's a solid base hit in the left field for Ryan Healy. So he's figured out Carrasco, but nobody else
Yeah,
has.
he has, because the first time up he hit a slider, and this time up he gets a fastball. And I'll tell you what, he's hit them both right on the nose. He is 2 for 2. First time in the second inning was a 2-out single. Right here now in the 5th, it's a 1-out single.
Well, this has been a problem for the A's of late. 4 times in their last 6 games, they've scored 2 runs or less. And there's a high pop. Shallow right. Lonnie Chisenhall is in. And there are 2 away. Let's go down to Andre, who has more on that pitch we were just discussing that Carlos Carrasco's had success with tonight.
Well, both
the
of you guys.
slider.
Oh, I'm sorry. Both of you. I'm breaking up a little bit down here, but both of you guys were talking a little bit earlier about the changeup and how much he was throwing it when he first came back from the DL. He says the slider is that last pitch that he has a feel for, and as he's made more starts, he says he feels more comfortable throwing the slider, and he says he feels more like the pitcher that he was last year because he can throw all of his pitches now. Where he said he was relying on that changeup a little bit earlier on when he first came back from the DL.
Well, remember, Andre, in that one start, he threw like 95% slider, or I mean the changeups.
And it's a good pitch, but it's not one he should throw. It's probably not his top 2 pitches is what I would say.
Not when he's throwing 95, 96. Locate the fastball. You can mix in a few changeups. And he's getting them, you can tell. When he first came back, he was giving up home runs on his slider, if you remember. They were just spinning up there. There's the changeup.
Almost like Carrasco almost has been like a little kid who got a new toy. That changeup was so good, he wanted to play and use it all the time.
That's the feel pitch. You know, that's when you come back and you feel comfortable to throw it. And it worked for him when he first came back, so he felt, okay, I can do this all the time, but you can't.
Fastball misses high.
He's a power pitcher, man. He's got too good of a fastball. When he's on and he's healthy, I think he has the best stuff on this team, and I'm not taking anything away from Corey Kluber. I think Kluber's got great stuff. But Carrasco, man, he's got nasty pitches. So does Kluber. I'd hate to be a hitter and have to face those two back to back if you're in a series.
The 2-1. Swung on and missed. And look at that separation. You go from 96 to 87.
Yeah, and down in the zone. This is where the slider's great when it's there, because you don't hit mistakes. It's easy to hang a slider and they go a long way, but when it's down like that you're out in front, you're throwing it, you're taking enough off, you're not overthrowing it. It's a great pitch.
Oh, that one was very close to being the end of the inning. Carrasco thought it was strike 3.
Well, he wanted him to start it up a little higher, and boy, I'll tell you.
I guess it was a tad low by the time he caught it, but where it crossed the plate, pretty good looking pitch. Full count, so the runner Healy will be off at first. And it's foul up the first base side. Max Muncy 0 for 1. Flied out to left in the 3rd inning. Got him looking. Off-speed pitch, froze him at the dish. A half dozen strikeouts for Carlos Carrasco, and we are scoreless through 5. Shoreway at the Neo Cycle Night Ride presented by Cuyahoga Community College. Neo Cycle is Cleveland Cycling and Outdoor Festival presented by Ohio Savings Bank. For more information, go to neocycle.org. Abraham Almonte will lead off. Then Roberto Perez and Carlos Santana. Best case scenario for Bob Melvin and the A's with the reliever Triggs pitching into the 6th inning. Making his 4th straight start. Building up the arm strength. Went 75 pitches his last time out. Almonte shoots it to pretty deep left, but going back and making the catch is Davis. In-game recap brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. And Andrew Triggs has spun a 2-hitter, striking out 5, and has not walked a batter. Carlos Carrasco, he's actually been a little bit better with 6 strikeouts.
Yeah, Carrasco, man, 12 straight first pitch strikes for CC. And Triggs started out that way. He was 9 of his first 11, now 1 for his last 6, so he may be getting a little tired, but he has him into the 6th inning.
Roberto Perez struck out back in the 3rd. I tell you, Triggs, he just, for the most part, he's gone right at hitters. He's challenged them. He's been able to effectively change speeds, and he's got great movement.
Well, the key is he hasn't walked anybody. He has 5 strikeouts, and this is his, what, 4th start. We said he still hasn't walked anybody as a starter. Gives you a little different arm angle. There's a little crossfire right there.
Well, I know Santana went to a full count to start the game.
Well, in that first inning, they're searching, you know, as all starters do. Look to get a feel, to get settled in.
But I don't know that he's gone to a 3-ball count to another hitter.
It doesn't seem like it. He's been very aggressive.
Murph said he's had 5.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like it. The 2-2 right down Broadway.
Well, you get a look and you'll see. There it is. Too close to take.
Number 41, Carlos Santana.
Back to the top of the order. Carlos Santana 0 for 2 tonight.
Santana has had a couple of those 3-ball counts.
That's right.
Doesn't surprise you, right?
He was 3-1 the last time, but grounded out. It's a ball just inside, 2-0.
That's a good pitch for him to sneak it in there on left-handers when he's going sinking it away, sinking away. They're looking away, and all of a sudden you can surprise them inside.
Back out of play. Does the pitch inside like that, does it have enough effect on the hitter, though, if you can't throw it for a strike?
No. I mean, no. Not if you can prove it. You throw it in there for a strike, at least to a hitter. He'll be conscious of you making that pitch in there. But if you don't go in there just for once every show pitch, no.
They're still going to be looking away.
Yeah, and you have to look away from it. Hopefully he doesn't hit with it, you know, and get it in there for a strike. If he does, he can lock you up and get an easy strikeout.
Well, again, Santana has the count in his favor for the 3rd time.
Oh, there you go. Right there, you had one middle in. He just couldn't pull the trigger. There was the fastball right there.
Almost like he was looking away, maybe.
It's like it locked him
Yeah.
up. He couldn't pull the trigger. Yeah, I don't think he was looking there.
Way outside, ball 4. He's walked his first with 2 outs in the 6th. It will bring up Jason Kipnis, and he hasn't had much luck against Andrew Triggs. He has struck out both times tonight.
Number 22, Jason Kipnis.
And he shoots this one deep left field down the line. Fair ball into the corner it goes. Santana flying around second. He'll have to stop at third as Kipnis is in with a 2-out double.
You know, I saw Kipnis looking down that third baseline before, you know, when he was getting into the batter's box, just to look down there. And that's exactly where he hit the ball. He was trying to stay on it because he struck out his first 2 times. But I'll tell you what, check his eyes out. See where he's looking down there? He's just concentrating on that. He gets in the box and he continued to look like the third baseman. I'm thinking he's not going to bunt. But boy, he stayed on and put a good swing on that one. So a 2-out double comes into play here, second and third with 2 outs, and that's what the Indians are going to have to try and do here.
Well, let's see if Lindor can deliver the 2-out hit. Pulls it foul.
Starting to go through the third time through this lineup now. He walks Santana after he had him down, and then Kipnis gets the big double.
Just a bit outside, 1-1.
Yeah, that's a pitch he's been trying to make tonight. He hasn't been able to hit with it. The backdoor slider where it comes in and tries to get the outside part of the plate. He's thrown it a lot. He hasn't really hit with that pitch as the
Liam Hendricks
bullpen is getting loose now for Oakland.
Punched foul the other way, 1-2.
Yeah, not much he could do with that pitch there. That's his favorite one right there.
Santana's at third, Kipnis at second. Oakland really plays Lindor absolutely straight up, infield and outfield. Almost went to the backstop. And it's 2-2.
Well, this guy Trigg has done a nice job. He's going to pitch number 90, and that is by far the most he has thrown this year.
Yeah, I figure this
coming
is probably
off a 75 pitch performance in his last start at Texas. He pitched pretty well, 5 2/3. So where he's at right now.
Lindor with a fly ball to right. Eidner grabs it, inning over.
And he knows he's done. He gave his glove a slap, and he did a nice job.
Chad Pinder to lead off for the A's. Oh for 1, he grounded out his only time up. And he gets ahead of him 0-2.
Yeah, this place has so much room in foul territory. The bullpens are down the lines. You have your bullpen coach out there with his chart, somebody to protect them for any foul balls that are hit down here. Unlike most of the ballparks. There's Hendricks. He's going to be coming into the game starting the 7th. There's the bullpen coach and somebody in front of him to protect him.
To third, Jose Ramirez. Perfect throw. One away. Great clip of the game from yesterday. Clutch situation. Mike Clevenger comes in. Balk called. Overruled because time was out. Then he strikes out Encarnacion to end that inning. Came back out. Punched out a couple more. He's just really done a nice job since they put him in the bullpen.
Well, you know, there was about a 5-minute delay there when that kid came back and made that pitch to Encarnacion on the outside corner of that heater.
Hit hard in the corner. Long run for Chisenhall. And Crisp still has great wheels. He's going to go for 3. And he is out at third.
Yes, what a great relay. Chisenhall, I'll tell you what, he's got a great arm, and Kipnis doesn't go out that long, so his throw's shorter to third base. He made a beautiful strike. We watched this, I'm trying to remember what park these two did it again. It was Kansas City that they had a beautiful relay coming down the line, and I thought he was trying to stretch it, but Washington was saying, go ahead and go. There's the relay. Kipnis gets it. There's the throw.
Oh, he's safe.
Yeah, he got the hand in. He's going to be safe. So they're going to challenge this. Let's take a look at another angle. Well, it's closer than I thought from that angle.
The A's are going to challenge.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, I mean, you challenge it. You're in the 6th inning. This would be a leadoff or a one-out triple. That's why he's trying to get himself into third base.
Can't tell from that last angle, but the one previous to that, kind of the head-on view, it looked like
he was safe. But remember, he's called out.
I think it's going to get overturned.
Well, I don't disagree with that. When you cut this is the look here that it looks like his hand gets to the base before the tag is applied, and you can see where the umpire's standing, where he called him out. He thought the tag might have been applied a little earlier, but we'll see. It's worth the challenge, I would say. It was good hustle, and it was also a good relay from Chisenhall and Kipnis. Ramirez did a nice job of trying to make the tag. Carrasco right where he should be to follow and back up that play in case the ball gets by Ramirez. Everything done well, both sides of the ball here. Defensively, and Coco hustling to get him with a one-out double, trying to stretch it into third, and he's out.
Wow!
Yeah. How about that? So
I really thought that was going to get overturned.
I quit. You know what? That's why I quit thinking about it. I quit a long time ago.
So that's give Coco Crisp credit for a double, and the putout goes 9-4-5.
Yep. That was really, I mean, that's close, but he was called out. So they I don't know. They say they catch a break. They looked at him. That's nice. Way to go. 9-4-5. So now 2 outs and nobody on. That's a big, big play in this ball game.
I was just going to say, Arch, with 1 out, that's a monster play. Because if he's standing on third now,
you got to bring the infield in.
Let's see. Looks like that hand's on the bag before the tag gets to him, but hey,
I'm not going to complain. They've had other ones go the other way where we felt that they.
That's exactly right.
You know what? It boils down to before we even had replay. It seems like the calls even out. Everybody will say they don't, but they do. You get ones that go against you, and you also get ones that go for you. I thought the Indians caught a break there.
Well, it was a good job by Lonnie to not give up on it, because that ball sort of deadened when it hit the wall. He didn't get much of a carom.
Yeah, and the right guy, he had to get over there quickly with Crisp. He's the one guy that can hustle.
But he hit his cutoff man, Jason Kipnis, perfectly. And then Jason made a good strong
at that point,
throw.
that's the worth. When you're not scoring, there's one out. It's not, you don't make the first or third out at third base, but that was worth the gamble to try and get himself in scoring position. He's shaking his head. He can't believe it. He's going to look at that again tonight and say, I should have been called safe.
Lined into center field, a base hit by Jake Smolinski.
And that even hurts more for him now, the way that call came out. But Carlos got the pitch up and he hammered it. They wanted down and away, and you can see hitter made him pay for that one.
The catcher.
They had 2 hits in the first 5 innings. Now they've had back-to-back hits here in the 6th inning. And it brings up the catcher, Stephen Vogt. Smolinski has 1 steal. He's been caught twice on the year. Carrasco evens the count at 1-1. No score, bottom of the 6th. And Vogt took a big hack, but all he could do was foul it off. Just missed outside, and Vogt stays alive. 2-2. Runner goes, and a line drive caught, dropped. Kipnis recovers, no play at first. So instead of the inning being over, the A's now have 2 on and 2 out.
Yeah, I don't know. It just didn't stick in his glove for whatever reason. I don't know if he thought it might have been hit harder than what it was. He busts his bat, so it wasn't hit that hard, and you can see it was right into the glove. And that's going to be an error on Kipnis. It just fell out of the glove for whatever reason. So the inning will continue.
And the batter is Chris Davis. Has struck out twice tonight. Foul right back into the mask of Roberto Perez.
big call in the inning. That was it was confirmed, I believe. It was called out. It remained out. And then they had a hit and now an error to keep this inning going.
Fouled back
After catching a nice break. And Carrasco jumps ahead quickly, 0-2.
Down in the dirt. 1 ball and 2 strikes. I tell you what, the creativity of people on Twitter and what they've done about Andre wearing a coat tonight is just, it's unbelievable. Oh, man. 2 on, 2 out. And a 1-2 pitch to Chris Davis. Swung on and missed. Carrasco gets him his 7th strikeout of the night. The A's strand a pair. And an overturned call keeps this a scoreless game through 6. Brought to you by the Injury Lawyers at Elk & Elk, proud partner of the Cleveland Indians. Call 1-800-ELK-OHIO. By Ford, built Ford tough. And by Firelands Regional Medical Center. I believe that's the Golden Gate Bridge.
Sure is.
Back toward downtown San Francisco. Cleveland Clinic call to the bullpen has been made. And it is Liam Hendricks on for the 38th time this year. Mike Napoli takes, and that's a called strike. Fouled back 0-2.
I'll tell you what, Andrew Triggs did a nice job, didn't he? 6 strikeouts, 1 walk, 3 hits, went 6 innings, his longest of the year. Well, the Indians looking to try to find a way to score. They had a chance last inning with 2 outs. Well, Santana walking, Kipnis doubled before Lindor made an out.
Napoli flied to deep left his last time up. Hit a rocket.
It had some top spin to it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Weighted back nicely. That's in the left center. He'll take a turn but hold with a leadoff single.
He did a nice job of just putting the ball in play there. He gave in. 2 strikes. You're going to get a little breaking ball down. It was actually a good pitch, but he kept his hands back, got the foot down early, and just didn't try to pull it. He just stayed with it as long as he could and slaps a little soft liner in the left field. Good job.
Well, up comes Jose Ramirez. He's 0 for 2 tonight.
Yeah, but now we're getting to the 7th inning. '27 consecutive games that Jose has reached base.
He's only had 1 game this month without a hit.
I know he's had a great month of August. 383 coming into today.
Out of play down the left side.
There you go. 7th inning or later, his average goes down. How about that? It goes down to 301. He's been involved pretty much. If there's something going on offensively, he's a part of it, it seems like, for the most part.
Popped him up. Vogt, the catcher, has it. 1 away. Andrew Triggs went 6 innings. Started out retiring the first 6 in a row.
He gave him a little different arm angle. He had the slider. He had that sinker. He did have a 4-seamer, and boy, he moved it around well. For the most part, early in the game, he was ahead, throwing first pitch strikes.
Indians never got a runner into scoring position until there were 2 outs in the 6th inning.
That is a guy that this is his 8th time up in the big leagues this year. Up and down and up and down.
And from reliever to starter.
Right.
Well, Lonnie Chisenhall had a base hit in the 5th inning. Out of play. Mike Napoli, thinking about that throw over to first base. He does have 4 steals. He's been caught once, but his base running strength this year has really been as he shuffles off at first. If he sees the ball in the dirt, he's been very aggressive going to second base.
He's great at reading. You're right. Balls that the catcher's guy has to get down and try and block. He reads it very well, because a lot of times he's gotten 2 stolen bases this year because he's been able to read the ball down, and he takes off sometimes before it's even in the dirt, anticipating it's going to be there, and he's made it. And official scores have given him 2 stolen bases, believe it or not.
It's been a heck of an at-bat for Lonnie, despite the fact the count is still just 0-2. He's fouling pitch after pitch after pitch, hoping to get one that he can handle at some point. And the problem for Hendricks is he doesn't want to probably bounce one and risk allowing Napoli to get into scoring position. And now Lonnie gulps one deep right field down the line. It is a fair ball up against the wall. Eibner digs it out. Napoli in the 3rd. He'll have to stop there. And for the 2nd time in as many innings, the Indians have runners at 2nd and 3rd.
Well, Hendricks did him a favor. He threw him 3 straight fastballs that he fouled off and couldn't hit. and then he speeds up his bat. And Lonnie loves the off-speed pitch. He likes it down. Look at him. And he kept it fair. Short hops the wall. Napoli couldn't score, but they have second and third.
But I think it goes back to, with Napoli on base, normally in an 0-2 count, you want to get a guy to, you don't want to throw it where he can hit it. But maybe he was afraid of bouncing it and letting Napoli take a base.
Well, he had an 0-2 count. He had times he could waste one. Maybe that he thought that was his waste pitch. But the infield will come in and try and cut it off now with 1 out. So it's up to Tyler Naquin to try and break up this 0-0 ball game.
High, ball 1.
Boy, he went down and picked up that little breaking ball, but Hendricks had thrown 3 by Chisnall. He was able to get a piece of him to stay alive.
Tyler shoots it on a play to the left. And the count is 1-1. Just a little over 10,000 here tonight at the Coliseum. On a cool evening, 58 degrees at game time. See that? Those folks got blankets, coats, jackets. Chase one up high, 1-2 the count. He's been good in the clutch. And Liam Hendricks deals, and he strikes him out. 2 away.
Through the fastball, it was running away from him and elevated it above the belt. A good pitch for Hendricks. Not a good one for Naquin. He comes up empty, and now it's going to come on Almonte to try and get him home now with a 2-out hit. And remember, first base is open. You have Perez on deck.
Both times tonight, Almonte has flied out to left field. And he fouls one straight back.
Yeah, you can pitch this guy tough. You don't have to throw strikes because he's going to want to try and get a base hit to get him in. And if you walk him, you're going to face Perez.
And now he's in the hole, 1-2.
Well, he went in there earlier and missed, but that's a pretty good pitch right there on the inside edge. A lot of umpires don't call it, so it must have been on the plate. Brian Gorman is the crew chief.
Chased one up around his eyeballs. Hendricks strikes out a pair, and the Indians squash a wasted scoring opportunity here in the 7th. Stretch time in Oakland, still no score.
And today's Tribe Rewards TV code is Rajay. Just visit Indians.com season tickets for complete details.
Yonder Alonso leading off here in the bottom of the 7th for Oakland, and he lines it right to Lindor. 1 down. In the 6th with 1 out, Coco Crisp led off with a double, tried to stretch it to a triple, but he was thrown out at 3rd. A's challenged, and the call was upheld. Then a base hit, an error, set the stage for Chris Davis, but he struck out for the 3rd time tonight.
Yeah, Carrasco picked up his defense right there, able to get his 7th strikeout. And still in really good shape at 80 pitches.
Cleveland bullpen is quiet. A's have action in their pen. Ryan Healy is 2 for 2 against Carrasco tonight. And that 95-mile-an-hour fastball gave him some trouble. It's 0-2.
Oh yeah.
Fastball painted the outside corner.
Oh yeah.
Number 8.
Watch this ball come back. Great movement. Started it off just enough as that ball comes back. Yeah, that's pretty much an unhittable pitch. Right-handers look at that ball and they think it's going to be a slider going away, but this one had some comeback to the outside part of the plate. Great pitch. 8 punchies now for Carlos.
Brett Eibner. Tap back to the mound. Also flying to right tonight. That has been a devastating pitch for Carrasco tonight. He's got great life on his fastball. He's had plenty of swings and misses on that. But then he doubles up and comes back with that slider, and it's ball looks like it disappears. That fastball was very close. And it's now 2-2.
Well, it was a good pitch because, you know, he's been going away, and that ball comes in. It had the plate. Maybe call the eye.
He's had a lot of movement on it.
Yeah.
Now the breaking ball, and he got him to go fish for it. Eibner able to stay alive. Well, as well as he has pitched tonight, he's had to, because the offense for the Indians has been shut down by Oakland so far tonight.
He's getting the field, just staying alive on that slider, just staying alive, following him off right now. So that means he's seen enough of him. You can see who's going to pinch hit when the Indians come back in. It looks like it's going to be Davis. So he's seen enough of him. He's just trying to slap that slider to right field. Good heater on the hands.
Lindor on the run. Nice backhanded pick by Carlos Santana. And the inning is over. 7 complete. Still scoreless in Oakland. presented by authority of the Cleveland Indians and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cleveland Indians. The 8th inning here at the Coliseum in Oakland. Neither team has been able to get on the scoreboard. Third pitcher of the night for Oakland is Ryan Dahl. 57th appearance on the year. And he's had a very solid campaign with a .223 earned run average. Roberto Perez will lead off. Checks on a ball outside. That'll even it up in 1-1. And a foul right back. Rajai Davis looks like he will run for Perez if he reaches base. Santana waiting on deck. Davis standing behind the Indians coaches just behind the on-deck circle. He's got that sliding mitt already on. He's ready to get into the ball game should Perez reach. Full count. Ryan Dahl with the payoff pitch. And a high pop up, shallow left. In is Chris Davis. And makes the catch.
Well, it's going to be Sugardale Dollar Dog Night on Friday, September 2nd, when the Indians return home. They will host the Miami Marlins in interleague play. Plus, fans can enjoy $2 Budweiser cans, a block party pregame, and postgame fireworks. Let's go to Indians.com and get those tickets.
Another 3-team homestand for the Indians. Carlos Santana looks at a strike. They've got Minnesota to open that homestand, then Miami, followed by Houston. And 1-1 to count. Santana drew a walk in the 6th. He launches one to deep right. Is it fair or is it foul? It is gone. Carlos Santana with home run number 27 puts the first run of the night on the scoreboard.
He was standing at home plate, Matt, like, oh my goodness, please stay fair, and it just barely does. His 27th home run, and boy, that comes at the right time.
Was he giving it the Carlton fist?
Yeah, but not quite. Now, he had a lean, though. I mean, he was leaning towards fair territory out in front of the plate. He knew it was gone. Play, stay. He wanted to get a look. Yes. He saw it go by. There it is, into the seats. So the Tribe has a 1-0 lead.
On one swing of the bat, Jason Kipnis takes a strike. Among switch hitters in baseball, Santana at the top of the home run list. Kipnis looks, it's outside. Jason shot a ball to left his last time up for a double. And sends this one to straightaway center field, where Smolinski makes the catch 2 away. 1-0 on the 27th homer of the year for Carlos Santana.
Now batting, number 12.
That was a majestic drive to right field. As you take another look, right in his hot zone, without a doubt.
He missed it. Yeah, he missed his pitch there. He got inside to Santana and he turned on it.
Francisco Lindor 0 for 3. A couple of ground outs. He's also flied out. Popped him up. Foul territory, and this will find the seats. Down low. Earlier tonight, the Dodgers beat Cincinnati 18-9 in Cincinnati. Arizona leads Atlanta 8-7.
Well, they've come back. They were down.
Up the coast in Seattle, the Mariners lead the Yankees 6-5. Offense everywhere except here, where we have had just 1 run scored so far tonight.
And it was recent.
Yeah.
2 hitters ago.
And Lindor with a 2-out single, stroked right back up the middle.
He kept his hands back like he does so well. Just let that ball carry into the zone, and he hits it right back up the middle. So the first hit for Frankie tonight. For the Indians, that's their 7th. Lindor now an 8-game hitting streak.
Well, and for Ryan Dahl, he's given up 9 home runs now, but 3 of them have come in his last 7+ innings of work.
Yeah, it's tough when they're late in the game like this, especially in a close game. This one just happened to be nothing before, and he missed his target to the wrong hitter.
This is the 3rd time in Carlos Santana's career that he has hit 27 home runs in a season. He did it back in 2011, and he also did it 2 years ago. Mike Napoli with a mighty cut, but he comes up empty. Napoli 1 for 3 tonight. Mark Zipchinski, the former Indian, up in the Oakland pen. Presumably for Lonnie Chisenhall, should we get that far along. You never know. They might want to turn Ramirez around. I thought it was interesting. John Gibbons, after the game yesterday with Toronto, said, yeah, we tried to flip Ramirez around, but he said, you know, that didn't work either. Ramirez has been so good from both sides of the plate that it hasn't mattered. Power's the same, average the same.
Well, they're both. I mean, you look at Frankie and you look at Josie, they're both the same from both sides of the plate. They're terrific. There's really no favorite side. You know what? Choose your. You better bring in the pitcher that's pitching the best at that time.
Yeah.
And that's not, to me, a rarity. Usually, you know, your switch hitter is going to be dominant from one side of the plate. And we've seen that how many times, because it's so hard to keep your swing going, because we've gone a long time without facing left-handers. Now we've faced quite a few recently. But, man, these guys, they've been consistent all year.
Carlos Santana, for example, 24 of his 27 home runs.
Left side.
Yeah. Runner goes, and Napoli fouls it off.
But over the years when we've seen our share of switch hitters, one side or the other, they usually dominate from.
Well, right now, Napoli trying to do some damage here and give the Indians some cushion. Down on strikes. But thanks to Carlos Santana, the Indians have a run and the lead as we go to the bottom of the 8th. Getting ready in the Cleveland bullpen. Carlos Carrasco continuing to deal and dominate tonight. 7 shutout innings of work with 8 strikeouts. And just over 90 pitches. He's got the number 8 hitter Max Muncy, then the number 9 batter Chad Pinder, followed by Coco Crisp. Chop to third. Ramirez on the run makes a perfect throw. 1 away.
He has a pretty accurate arm from third base, doesn't he?
You know, not only that, Arch, but when you think about this, is a game where he hasn't had a lot of action. But every time a ball's been hit to him, he's been able to make a perfect pinpoint accurate throw.
Yeah. Well, he's got the quick feet of a shortstop, so he can get his footwork in together and get that arm in throwing position. So it doesn't surprise me. And he has a good enough arm. Everything is very accurate with him.
Chad Pinder, 0 for 2, is grounded out twice to the left side of the infield, once to short, once to third. And Carrasco quickly ahead of him, 0-2.
Boy, Carlos has been efficient tonight. 94 pitches. We're into the 8th. He's been outstanding. A lot of swings and misses. Had an excellent slider. 22 of 27 first pitch strikes.
I don't know if we have a tracker, but I'd be curious to see how many changeups he's thrown tonight. It hasn't been many.
No.
But just enough.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a fine line. Yeah, but you know, there it is. And then you lock him up with a good heater.
Number 9 for Carrasco.
You know, what happens too when you throw those sliders and you get to 2 strikes, a lot of the hitters are going to sit on them, and then you just throw that fastball and it goes. They can't pull the trigger. It's by them because they're not looking for it, even to protect. And as a hitter, you always want to try and get that fastball, at least fight it off to stay alive. And when you get to 2 strikes, you hope to foul off the slider, or he doesn't throw it for a strike.
Up high with a heater. Coco Crisp doubled to right in that 6th inning, and that was a key play in this game.
Yes, it was.
He was thrown out. The A's challenged, and it was upheld. But it looked like he might have been safe. We were both surprised that the call was not overturned. The 2-0. In the air to center field. Tyler Naquin drifting under it. 1, 2, 3 go the A's. And we go to the 9th. 1-0 Cleveland. All right, guys, thank you. Jose Ramirez leading off for Cleveland here in the 9th. He is 0 for 3. Ryan Madson, new pitcher on for the A's. He is the 4th Oakland pitcher to work in the game. Little squibber to third. Healy flings it over, 1 down. Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite. Carlos Carrasco, fantastic. Came out, retired the first 5 in a row. Gave up 1 hit through the first 4. Allowed a couple of hits in the 6th, but got out of it. And hasn't allowed a base runner since.
Yeah, he's been on point all night long. He is really, I guess he's been brilliant.
He's retired 7 in a row as Lonnie Chisenhall breaks his bat and grounds out. And with 2 quick outs, Rick, it would appear that Carrasco has enough to come back and pitch the 9th, but Andrew Miller is up in the Cleveland bullpen. Do you think he's up just in case, Or does Terry maybe go
No,
right to him?
I think he's coming. He's going to go to Miller. No, you know, Carrasco's been great. I think he could finish it with you. I certainly do. But he's been so good. We'll let somebody else take a chance and get the last 3 outs. Not that Carlos can't. Really, I believe he could. But the way the game goes now, you bring on a guy that can get your last 3 outs. And this will give Miller a chance to close the game as well.
Tyler Naquin takes low. He's 1 for 3 tonight.
As we know, Tito doesn't get guys up to sit them down. If they're up and they're warm, they come in. But when I saw Carrasco sitting on that bench, he still looked like he had his game face on to me. That's why I thought he might come back.
Now the 1-1. Way outside. Two balls, 2 strikes.
Yeah. Madsen with Kansas City last year signed with the A's as the outstanding changeup, and that was one of them right there on the swing by Tyler Naquin. He can locate his fastball. He's got a nice changeup.
A year ago, he was viewed as a luxury for Kansas City, but boy, this year they could have really used him.
I know it. Well, he's a luxury till somebody gets hurt.
Chopper to first base. Alonso will tag the bag. And we'll go to the bottom of the 9th in Oakland. It's Miller time. Indians lead it 1-0. Brought to you by Mazda as we look back. Indians 49-16 when they score first, looking to go to 50 wins on the year. Carlos Carrasco was dynamite. And he's had a good history. I said you at the top of our telecast, this might have been just what the doctor ordered for Carrasco.
Yeah.
Seemed to bring out the best in him, and now it's all up to Andrew Miller.
Yeah, Carrasco could not have been any better tonight. Loves this ballpark, and he shows you why. So Miller trying to save it for Carrasco and the Indians and get this road trip started off on the right foot.
Jake Smolinski 1 for 3. Smolinski a right-handed batter. Stephen Vogt on deck, a left-handed hitter. And then Chris Davis, the power hitter, due up third, a right-handed bat. Boom, 2 quick strikes.
Well, that's the one thing about Miller. He comes in and pounds the strike zone, doesn't he?
Yes.
I mean, Rarely do you see him fall behind hitters. He comes in and it's almost like he's locked in.
And as
bing, bing.
you pointed out too, it's one thing you want to be aggressive against a guy like that because his stuff's so good. But I think because he's hard to pick up, it's probably difficult for hitters to jump on that first pitch.
It takes, look at that.
Yeah.
And then he comes in with that slider. You know what? It may take you a pitch or two just to get to see where he's throwing from. That location is coming out of the box. And then he throws that slider, almost hit him in the back leg. As we're going to get a pinch hitter now for Vogt.
I was surprised that he was on the on-deck circle to begin with because left-handed hitters are just not generally successful. And here's Danny Valencia. Valencia, as we mentioned earlier in the ball game, was sitting out tonight's game after details of the incident in Chicago that involved Valencia punching Billy Butler over an altercation that landed Butler on the 7-day concussion deal. Valencia has had a good year offensively for Oakland. He's batted .302. He's hit 15 homers, 16 doubles, and he's done all that in just 97 games. Many people thought Oakland would try to move him at the deadline. Didn't happen. 0-2, fouled out of play. Miller with the 0-2. Got him looking. 2 down. He's got 95 to 98 miles an hour with that fastball. He's got a terrific, nasty slider, and then he's got this one. He just flips it backdoors you, and you got no chance.
No, because you're looking for your back foot slider there. That one, God, I mean, how do you hit that as a right-hander? It looks like it wraps around the plate to me, at least from that angle. It
need a boat oar. And it better be light. Chris Davis, 0 for 3, has struck out all 3 times tonight, but he's got power to burn.
Well, he's thrown 8 pitches and 8 strikes.
Oh, and he throws a 97-mile-an-hour dart after an 85-mile-an-hour slow hook to start him off with. Now Chris Davis doesn't know what to think.
Well, what do? You're throwing a fastball out there. You're throwing a breaking ball out there as well.
High heat.
He was just trying to get him to swing at one out of the zone. First ball of the night. He's only throwing 90% strikes.
Now the 1-2 pitch. Just missed inside.
Good take by Davis right there. That's an easy one to go after and swing at it because you see it coming in. But he's able to lay out. That's really a nice take there. And you can see it's way inside by the time Perez ends up catching that ball.
And he pulls this one foul. One to nothing.
Yes.
Did he go? He did, and this game's over. Andrew Miller strikes out the side, notches his 11th save of the year, and the Indians take the opener against the Oakland A's by a final score of 1-0. Indians run their record to 72 and 51 on the year. Oakland falls to 53 and 72. Entertaining game, well pitched obviously by both clubs. Carlos Carrasco, the winner, is now 9-6. as he went 8 innings of shutout baseball, and Andrew Miller with just an absolutely overpowering 3 up, 3 down striking